particular thing I've chosen here. Senators Klobuchar and Murphy. Now, as you know, we passed the HEROES Act 81 days ago. Speaker Pelosi and I called on Leader McConnell to start negotiations a month ago. But the Senate Republicans are so divided and tied up in knots that all Leader McConnell can do is go to the floor and make partisan speeches. He's not in the room negotiating because the Republicans can't even articulate a coherent position. Democrats, on the other hand, are in the room negotiating with the White House because we want to reach an agreement. And we're finally moving in the right direction. A deal has to be made for the needs of the American people. Now, we're not just going to strike a deal for the sake of it, but we believe we need bold, strong, vigorous response to the crisis. And let me explain to you in general why there's a difference. We believe, the American people believe, that this is the greatest crisis affecting America in 75 years economically and 100 years health-wise. We believe it needs a big, bold response. A skiddy bill that just touches on one or two of the many problems. A bill that says if we have 1 million starved kids who aren't getting fed, we should compromise and feed half of them. That doesn't work. And yet the Republicans are so tied up, so many of them, in their ideological knot that they don't want to spend money. They don't want to spend resources to help solve this problem. The bottom line is if we don't spend the money that is needed now to help beat this crisis economically and health-wise, it'll cost us a lot more later because things will get worse. So that's the fundamental difference. They have this ideology that the private sector should do it all, but we all know the private sector can't do it now, but they can't escape of this. Republicans don't seem to understand the scale and scope of the crisis. The disease has washed over our country like a flood, and Republicans are acting like we just need to fix a leaky faucet. Now, I'm hopeful. The negotiations are moving forward bit by bit, and we are moving closer together on certain issues. We take each issue, and we explain to Secretary Mnuchin and Chief of Staff Meadows why this is the amount we need. And we have moved closer together on 5 or 6 issues. There are many more to go, and we're not even in agreement on those 5 or 6, but at least they're understanding the needs here. The bottom line is very simple. We need real help for people losing their jobs, for small businesses going out of business, for renters being kicked out of their houses, for treatment as COVID is still raging. We need real help in so many different areas. And we cannot turn our backs on this, as Republicans are doing, because they're in an ideological straitjacket. We hope I am hopeful. Why, you say? Because in the last 3 negotiations, Republicans first said, no, we're doing the minimum. We said, no, we have to do more, and they came in our direction. And I'm very hopeful that'll happen again. Leader McConnell just said that he's not going to get a whole lot of Republican votes for whatever is going to pass. So I'd remind the Republican leader and the negotiators that if this bill is going to pass with all Democrats in the House and a majority of Democrats in the Senate, it's got to be something that Democrats like and support. And that's what we're working to get to happen. Let me see if there's anything I left out. Yeah. We're going to keep fighting until we get there. We are not going to give up. We are not going to walk away. But we're not going to let them pick out 1 or 2 issues and then say, let's go home. We have a huge crisis that demands a huge response. Let us hope our Republican friends see the light and don't make a historic mistake. Senator Klobuchar. Or as she was once called in Minnesota, or somewhere else, Senator Klobuchar.
Okay, very good.
When was
Thank
that?
you for that fine
When was
introduction.
that?
Many times. There's many ways to pronounce my name. I always say I don't care how, as long as people vote for me.
That Amy has, but Chris doesn't.
All right. On that note, I want to thank Senator Murphy for his great work. You're going to be hearing from him next. And then also Senator Schumer for spending the hours after hours after hours trying to work this out for the American people. And we know this isn't easy. We know that there are major, major priorities that we have when it comes to health and the testing, and it comes to our education and helping our local governments that are right up against it. I know in my own state. But there's something else here that we cannot neglect, and that is our very democracy. And we have, from the beginning, as we saw state by state in the primaries, in both Democratic and Republican primaries, we saw major shifts in how our voters are voting. So today I'm going to make a little different plea at our Democratic event here, and that is to my Republican colleagues, because when you look at what you see across the country, first let's start with the voters themselves. No matter what Donald Trump writes on his Twitter feed, they are voting by mail or they're trying to vote early. Look at some of these numbers and what we've seen across the country. In Maryland, 96% of voters in the Republican primary voted by mail. In Kentucky, mail voting, as in M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E, went from 2% to 85% just this year. So this is happening regardless of what Donald Trump thinks. People are going to vote this way. The second thing that we have seen is the numbers, the polls. 67% of Trump voters in swing states have said they want Congress to do something about this and keep elections safe. 75% of all voters see this. Then you go to the elected officials, the people on the front line. In Politico just recently, 4 Republican elected officials in the voting area wrote an op-ed together saying they were worried. Mitt Romney has been very forthright about saying in a state, a red state, that has a vast majority of their voters voting by mail, that it is safe. You have Republican governors in places like Ohio and in places like New Hampshire and in Maryland who are expanding the ability to voters to vote in a different way. And you have governors in states like West Virginia and other places that are actually waiving requirements to make it easier. That's what's happening. We can't stop it, and we have to decide, are we going to be part of the solution and keep the citizens of this country safe, or are we going to be part of the problem? Wisconsin, how can we forget the images of those citizens standing in line, so many of them African American, in their homemade masks and garbage bags in the rain, just to exercise their right to vote. And when that got done, 70 of them got coronavirus, including some poll workers. What do we see on the other side of our split screen? The President of the United States voting in the luxury of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with his mail-in ballot that he got from Palm Beach, Florida, in his slippers. I don't know if he had slippers, but it's just a good image. So anyway, that is what's going on. I know, but the people of this country are demanding that. And that is why we have seen senators like Senator Blunt, who I work with and have so much respect for, has been stepping up and working with me and working with the administration to figure out how we can do this. And by the way, this funding is not just for the envelopes and the postage, something we can use immediately in the states. It is also for equipment for the poll workers on the day of the election. We have to train a new cadre of poll workers, young people, to work in the election booths that are going to be safer, that aren't going to be as vulnerable to COVID. We can do that in the last few months. And Republican secretaries of state, just like Democrats, are calling for that funding, keeping the polling places open for people that don't vote by mail so that people won't congregate at the same time. So there is a very strong argument, even if the president doesn't like vote by mail, which everyone's doing, including in his own party, even if he doesn't like it, a significant portion of this funding will go to keep the polls open early and to keep our poll workers safe and thus keep our citizens safe. So that's this piece of it. I am hopeful with Senator Blunt's leadership and others that are quietly working behind the scenes and are making the case on election security, on safety for our citizens, that we're going to be able to do something sensible here and get some funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Senator Murphy.
Thank you very much, Leader Schumer. Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Listen, Republicans can't wish this crisis away. They can't pretend that the situation is getting better when it is getting worse. Unemployment claims have risen 2 weeks in a row. In 14 days, we went from 3 million cases to 4 million cases. And so we are at a moment where a Band-Aid is totally insufficient to treat the wound. As Senator Schumer said, there are many in the Republican caucus that don't want to vote for anything. There are others that want to vote for something wholly insufficient. Well, I wanted to talk for a minute about an upcoming investment that we cannot postpone, not more than one single day. I'm a parent of 2 school-age kids. I've got an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old who are in the public school system. And I think my perspective is probably representative of most parents. I want my kids to go back to school, but I want my school to make all the investments necessary to keep them safe. And what we know is that safety for kids doesn't magically fall from a tree. You have to pay for it. Masks and gloves and sanitizer and cleaning supplies, they cost money. Adjustments to school buildings to create enough social distance to comply with CDC regulations, that costs money. Hiring additional teachers and support staff to keep schools safe, that costs money. And with state and local budgets that are hemorrhaging and no revenue coming in, there is no money to make those investments. It is only Congress that can come to the rescue of millions of parents and kids who want schools to reopen but want it to be done safely. Here's one example. Amy Spies is a 5th grade teacher in Daytona, Florida. Her classroom is so small that normally, her kids don't even have enough room to put their backpacks on the back of their chairs. And she is getting no help, no additional space. They aren't hiring any additional teachers in Daytona to try to space out the learning day. She's going to cram 22 kids into a small classroom in violation of CDC regulations. Why? Because her school district already has a $14 million deficit. And so without federal funding, those kids and those teachers are going to be in jeopardy. And this is happening all over the country. Now, the slapdash proposal that was unveiled last week by Republicans has no flexible money in it for states and cities to help reopen schools. And the money they have in there is loaded with all sorts of bells and whistles and mandates and requirements that make it impossible for schools to adequately reopen. After years of Republicans talking to us about removing federal mandates for local education, now all of a sudden they are telling schools that you can't get money to reopen unless you do it our way. So I'm grateful to Senator Schumer for understanding what parents like me are dealing with right now, for demanding that we allocate every dime necessary to reopen our schools safely now, because schools are opening in a matter of weeks. And if we don't make these investments, if we don't give 100% of the money necessary to reopen our schools, then lives are going to be at risk. We are beyond the point of a Band-Aid. In order to get our kids back to school, we need to do the right thing and to step up to the way with a comprehensive approach to school funding.
Thank you. And I'd say 2 points here, just 2 quick points. Elections and postal are very essential to us. The elections, as Amy so articulated, have made it much harder. COVID has made it much harder to vote, but that is the wellspring of our democracy and perhaps the most important election America faces in a long time. We must keep it strong and vibrant and fair. And what Chris said, a lot of the President Trump and some of the Republicans say, oh, let him just go back to school. It'll be fine. Let them remember the lesson when President Trump pushed the governors of Florida and Arizona and Texas to push people, to get people back out on the streets without social distancing, and then COVID came back with a vengeance. We will close, if you open up a school that's not safe, inevitably, kids, teachers will get COVID and they'll have to close them right back down. Yes?
Leader Schumer, Majority Leader McConnell has accused you of telling your members that they are not to negotiate with Republicans, that you are the leader of these negotiations. Do you have a response to that?
Yes, you first have to have an overall agreement, and McConnell's not even there. You can't tell the Appropriations Committee to negotiate if they don't know what the number is. You can't tell Amy to negotiate on elections if you don't know what the number is. As soon as we come to the overall agreement in the room where I note McConnell is not present, we can then have people negotiate. But it's not just going to be, McConnell has always wanted it to be just the Senate. It's going to be the House and Senate together. Yes.
Could I also add to that as someone that,
Can you come to the camera,
Chuck
please?
has encouraged me to talk to Roy Blunt, right? Because we're both on the Rules Committee, and so we have talked, I bet we talked 3 times in the last 24 hours, because there's things besides money. There's things about provisions that would be in a package, so we're discussing that as well as some preliminary discussions on money, but we've got to have an overall package.
Yeah, you can't do it until you know the big numbers, that's all. And McConnell always looks for an excuse. Come to an agreement with us, and people, 4 corners, 5 corners on each area will negotiate. House, Senate, Dem, Republican, White House.
Now, given some of the recent disasters that we've seen, with disasters that we've seen with mail-in ballots, look us all over in Maloney's race, can you give a reassurance that the election will be decided on November 3rd?
We hope so, and that's why we're fighting for money for the Postal Service and for money for elections. If the American people lose faith, and Donald Trump's trying to get them to lose faith, I think he looks, you know, he's worried about the future, and he has no respect for rule of law, no respect for democracy, no respect for anything other than himself. But if we lose faith in this democracy, something that America's had for 20 some odd years will be gone. So we have to do everything we can so the election results can come out as quickly as possible.
And just one more thing, Chuck. If Donald Trump wants this to work, if he's claiming there's all these problems, then he can't turn his back on the funding, right? Because that's one way you help the states, whether it's his allies or not, to run these elections. So that's the first. And the second is, we know we're not going to know all the results that night because counting these ballots does take time. So the media is going to have to be patient. But we will do much better if they're able to run their elections properly with the right resources.
Yes.
I understand you're pushing for a repeal of the salt caps in this package. Can you tell me why that's pertinent? And
Well, it's not just I'm pushing it. There is a 2-year repeal in the HEROES bill, and I believe it should stay in.
why is that?
It's very important to the states. It was done unfairly, and it affects middle-class people in the suburbs throughout America. Long Island, Westchester, suburbs of Buffalo, and every other state.
2 questions. The first is the $600 extension on unemployment insurance. Democrats red line in this negotiations. Is there any room for you?
We don't
to give
redline
them-
anything. Here's why we believe the $600 is so important. 1, we don't think people who lost jobs through no fault of their own should get a 30 or 33% pay cut. 2, it's kept millions out of poverty. It's probably the #1 reason people have stayed out of poverty. 3, it's done more to get the economy going than just about anything else. The #1 positive bright spot in this very difficult economy is, sorry, get so excited I forgot to take off my mask. The #1 best thing in the economy that has it, the #1 thing the economy has going for it is consumer spending. That's because of the COVID. And 4th, if you did the Republican plan, the vast majority of states say it will take weeks, if not months, to implement it. So you'll have a whole long period of time without it. That's why we believe in the $600. Next.
Negotiate anything lower. Is there?
I
is-
said we believe in the $600. I'm not negotiating in front of you or in front of any of the press. No offense to you.
I'm not offended.
Go ahead.
Republicans contend that Democrats aren't willing to negotiate at all. They're saying it's our way, it's our bill, and we're not coming toward the
Well,
Republicans.
you know,
Can
McConnell has
respond
no
to that?
idea of that because he's not even sitting in the room.
Said,
We have
Whatever
made-
you negotiate with the White House, bring it to the Senate, and you basically said, we'll take it up if
No,
you
no,
get it.
he
That's
did
just what
not say
said
that.
today. Oh,
He
it
said today he's going to need a whole lot of Democratic votes to do it.
So why
Okay?
not negotiate a deal with the White House and
We're
pass it
sitting
to
in the room
Democrats?
doing that. Who do you think Mnuchin? Who do you
Republicans say
think?
you're not negotiating with them. They said you're just saying it's our bill and there's
No,
nothing in between.
as I explained earlier, there are real dramatic needs. We're not going to do 1/5 of the needs or 1/4 of the needs or 1/3 of the needs, but we are negotiating in good faith and we are coming closer together. We're doing a lot more negotiating, Democrats in the Senate, than Republicans in the Senate. So I think when McConnell says that, you ought to question it.
Leader Schumer, would it help if McConnell was in the room negotiating?
Look.
And is Meadows constructive?
The bottom line is that both Meadows and Mnuchin have told us McConnell doesn't want to be in the room. I can't force him to get into the room. The bottom line on the other is Meadows is who the president sent, and we have to negotiate with him. Thank you, everybody.
Can you respond to the threat of executive orders by the president on these issues, on rent moratorium, on unemployment insurance?
Senator Klobuchar, can I ask you about mail-in voting? Absentee voting? The president today, again, did a tweet on it, saying that now, he says now that apparently, whatever you call it, mail-in or absentee, the system in the state of Florida, residents in Florida are safe to vote.
I know, well, it's very funny, the Republican Party in Florida actually sent out a mailer using one of his earlier tweets, where at the beginning he said absentee ballots are fine,